Mayor Jason West. Happy Pride Day! And put those signs down. It's embarrassing. Thank you. Just over a year ago today, or a year and a half ago, February 27th, the people who organized the weddings that took place in New Paltz tonight sent out a press release. And in that press release and in comments made to the press in the months after the marriages, one of the messages we repeated was that marriage equality is the greatest civil rights struggle of our generation. Yes. And we made the point that those who would deny gay and lesbian couples the right to marry today were those who would have made Rosa Parks sit at the back of the bus. Yeah. It's been a long year. As Jay said, the Ulster County District Attorney, Don Williams, who ran unopposed for his election last time with the support of all the major parties in the county, has chosen to prosecute, or chose at the time, to bring criminal charges not only against me, but against the two Unitarian ministers who followed me, Reverend Kay Greenleaf and Reverend Dawn Sangre. And are Kay and Dawn here today? Are they here? Kay or Dawn, if you're here, please come up to the stage, because I think the audience, the crowd here needs to meet you and see who you are. While they're coming, if they're here. For those of you who don't know, because unfortunately too much of the press focused on me and not on the issue, not on the hundreds of organizers and people who made the marriages here in New Paltz a reality. And I hope that the press who are here pay attention to the hundreds and hundreds of people who are here today, the organizers of this event and others who have been working on this issue for years. Within days of the marriages that I performed, an Ulster County judge issued a restraining order preventing me from performing more marriages, and into that void stepped Reverend Greenleaf and Reverend Sangre and continued the marriages in New Paltz, for which they were charged with 13 criminal counts of marrying unlicensed couples. When they won that case, the Ulster County DA decided not to continue pressing the charges against them, leaving me the only person in the country to be criminally charged for helping marriage equality. And I made the point when I was traveling around the world, raising money for community groups, speaking on this issue, I made the point that even after I was charged and the restraining order put on me, our community here in the Hudson Valley came together and made sure these weddings continued. Not only Reverend Greenleaf and Reverend Sangre, but organizers who had been volunteering in Village Hall went off and started their own organization called the New Paltz Equality Initiative. And the New Paltz Equality Initiative got together over 30 local clergy from half a dozen denominations to continue these marriages, and none of them were charged, but the issue continued. The marriages continued, the fight continued, and we here in New Paltz married over 300 same-sex couples in 6 months. And the only reason we didn't marry more is because Massachusetts beat New York to legalizing it outright, and everyone went to Boston to be married. When I was traveling around the country, I made the point that of all the places in America where gay marriage began, whether it's San Francisco, Portland, Sandoval County, New Mexico, Asbury Park, New Jersey, Portland, Maine, Boston, Massachusetts, only in New Paltz were criminal charges levied against the people who were officiating at these weddings. The marriages were shut down all over the country, you remember. In San Francisco, they were shut down. In Sandoval County, New Mexico. In Oregon, the county clerk had a brilliant decision. When she was told to stop marrying same-sex couples, to stop issuing licenses, she said, fine, that I will issue no licenses to any couple. I will not discriminate. If gays can't get married, straights won't get married either. This issue spread to dozens of communities around this country, but only in New Paltz, were we criminally charged. And I'm proud to say only in New Paltz, out of everywhere in the country, despite court injunctions, only in New Paltz did the marriages continue, despite what the courts wanted us to do. So I'm going to trial this fall.
We'll be there.
Thankfully, it's a trial going to be here in New Paltz. The DA said he's not going to move it out of our community because this is a New Paltz issue. Now, the district attorney for a year has said he speaks for the people of our community. The court cases say the people versus Jason West. Now, the district attorney has decided to speak for the people, and I look forward to a jury trial because it's about time the people spoke for themselves. Now, it's not likely, but technically the maximum penalty I'm facing is 24 years in jail and $12,000 worth of fines. And I want to tell you right now, on the unlikely event I go to jail, it will have been worth it. Were any of you here last February 27th? Were you here to see the marriages? Then you know what I mean. It will have been worth it just to have seen that look in one couple's eye when they were married. We initially said we're only going to do 12 marriages. But every once in a while someone would come up. I had one couple come up to me and got into the office and clung to my arms, tears streaming down her face, saying, "Please, Mayor West, my partner has been together for 30 years. We didn't think we would ever see this in a lifetime. This has been our dream. Will you please marry us?" I don't think there's a person here who would be able to say no to that. If you could have seen the light and love these couples had for each other up close as I did. If you could have seen the couple from Rockland County who brought their 7-year-old daughter, Rebecca, who showed up in a flower girl's dress on 10 hours' notice and walked through a crowd of 500 strangers in the international press throwing flowers in front of her two moms as they went to the altar, you would also not mind going to jail because it would have been worth it. Like I said, I look forward to a jury trial because it's about time the people spoke for themselves. And we've had partisan Republican judges in this county. Judge Brune, Judge Kavanaugh, Judge Bradley, who have ignored my lawyers and my arguments. They say repeatedly he broke his oath of office. He took an oath of office to uphold the laws. And he can't break the law just because he says he wants to, even if it is right. And time and again we reminded these judges that my oath of office is to uphold the Constitution of our state. And that Constitution demands equal protection for all New Yorkers, regardless of gender. As far as I'm concerned, same-sex marriage is already legal in New York State. We already have rights. And Judge Kavanaugh, Judge Bradley, none of these judges will stand in the way of our rights. This is inevitable. We will have marriage equality. We will have full equality, not only for marriage, but for all people in New York State, regardless of race, regardless of gender, regardless of the person they choose to love for the rest of their lives. Yes. Now I want to invite Reverend Greenleaf up to the stage to say a few words, if you wouldn't mind. And as she's coming up, I want to wrap up. I want to thank you all for coming out here today. Because once again, our community, not only here in New Paltz, but in the Hudson Valley, has shown we're a tolerant community. We accept people. We love our neighbors. And the people here today follow the words of Christ more than any of Bush's appointees. Do you remember the injunction to love your neighbor as you love yourself? And I think that I'm going to tread into murky waters if I'm going to quote Scripture with a reverend standing behind me. So I'm going to stop there and let Kay speak to the Spirit. But thank you all so much. I've unfortunately become a figurehead. The press focused on me. But I think if we look around today, we realize, while my name may be most associated, this is a community movement. This is a mass movement. This is a people's movement. And all of us today won't rest until our neighbors have rights. Straight or gay, it doesn't matter. The issue is human rights. The issue is civil rights. And we will not rest until we win. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Kay Greenleaf.
Well, hey, you're something, aren't you?
They said there wasn't any queers in Hudson Valley, right? But they truck y'all in?
No, I trucked it all.
Well, I'm really glad to see you all out here today. I can't say enough about Jason West. Positive. He's just been something that made my heart feel really good. From the first day that I heard from one of my parishioners that he was going to be doing marriages over here in New Paltz, my partner Pat and I had to come over and see if we could get married. And he didn't have room on the agenda for us that day, and before we could get on an agenda, he got enjoined. So I said, well, I could do it if he couldn't. And that's where I got into the mix, and I called my friend Reverend Sangri, and she came over, and it just kind of grew like Topsy. A little bit more each week, a few more ministers involved, and a lot more couples involved. We have been part of this movement, and it really is a movement. It's a movement of the heart. And as Jason was beginning to say, it's a movement of the Spirit. Now, the God that I know is a God who loves all of us. He didn't make me any different than he made anybody else. All of us are somewhere on the spectrum from gay to straight. And all of us have a right to express our sexuality in whatever way feels natural to us. And my church and my God believe that that's the way it should be. So I've been extremely fortunate to have the support of my congregation, my denomination, and all the people that I see on a weekly basis. And all of the couples who have come to me and asked me to marry them, even after we stopped doing services. I'm now doing them out of my church and giving people an affidavit, which I have crafted on the model of the one that Jason used, so that we can continue this. We need to be able to take this on to the next step. We need to make sure that the laws of this land are upheld, and the law of this state, which says that you don't have to be one particular gender or another to be married in this state. We believe, my partner Pat and I believe that we are legally married. But we have to test that. We have to test it. And I, like Jason, am willing to go to jail for however long to try to make that happen. I mean, I'm a good bit older than Jason, so I couldn't do as many years as he can do. But I'm willing, should it come to that. And I think that it would be time well spent if it means that you can be married legally. So I'm with you all the way. I'm with Jason all the way. Whatever happens, we're together in this fight. I thank you.